Alright guys, this is to show the work for number 5 for the summer work. And the first thing we're going to do before we get into it is go through a little review. So the first thing we're going to talk about is an expression, which is just half of an equation essentially. So if I had like x squared plus 3, that would be an expression. And then if I had equals 5, then it turns into an equation. And then we have a term, and a term is just part of an expression that is separated by addition or subtraction. So this would be a term, and this would be a term, and so would this. Okay, so now that we have that, let's move on to the work for summer work. So let's look. It says if A RB equals a squared minus 2ab. So the first thing I'm going to do is work through, this is a term, this is a term, this is a term, and this is a term. And they're all separated by different actions. So like that's separated by an action, and that's separated by subtraction. So knowing that, let's practice with a random one. So if I had like 2 and 2r3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to square this first term. So this is my a and this is my b. I'm going to square the first term. So that'll be 2 squared minus 2, and I'm getting that from up here, times a, and my a here is 2. And then times b, and my b is 3. Okay, and then I'm going to simplify that. So 2 squared is 4, minus 2 times 2 times 3, which is 12. And that equals -8. Okay. So now let's look at the actual problem, and I'm going to rewrite this equation over here. So I'll put in a different color. A RB equals a squared minus 2ab. Okay, and I'm going to separate that with some squigglies. So let's look at our equation now. We need to find 2r parentheses 3r4. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore this guy and focus on my parentheses first. So if we do 3r4, that is going to, and if we look at our equation here, that's going to be 3 squared minus 2 times 3 times 4. Because this is my a, this is my b, this is a squared minus 2 times a times b. Okay, so now let's simplify that. So 3 squared is just 9 minus 2 times 3 times 4. 2 times 3 is 6 times 4 is 24. And 9 minus 24 is -15. Okay, so that's the first part of this. That's the parentheses. So let's move on and do the second part of this. What this does is this gives us our b for our second equation here. So now we get to rewrite this equation as 2r -15. and this is A, and this is B. So if we work it out like we did before, and that should equal 2 squared minus 2 times 2 times negative 15. And this is my A squared. This is my A, and this is my B. Okay, so now we need to simplify that. So 2 squared is 4, minus 2 times 2 times negative 15. Well, we know 2 times 15 is negative 30, and then negative 30 times 2 is going to be negative 60. So we have 4 minus negative 60. Okay, and then whenever we subtract a negative, that really turns it into a positive. So that'll be 4 plus 60, which equals 64. And that's it. So just a quick recap. What we did first is we did our parentheses first, just because parentheses come first in PEMDAS. And then once we got that answer, then we took that and we substituted that in for our parentheses so that we have a much simpler equation over here where we have 2r negative 15. And then we plugged in 2 and 15 over to the right side of this equation and simplified down until we got to 64. All right, that's it.